Okay, let's try this again. Had some technical difficulties this morning. It's sometimes I can download a PDF and walk on it. Other times I've got to do some additional stuff to it before I can get this out to you. This video is mainly for my AP Lit students, which, by the way, I am grateful that a number of you are watching my videos. That's very cool. I hope this video finds everybody well, as always. This is a disclaimer that the work I'm going over is purely for enrichment only. However, if you are interested in taking the AP exam is now a take-home test. What that's going to look like is going to depend largely on what College Board releases on April 3rd. So on April 3rd, they're going to let us know what it's going to look like. It's supposed to be a single. What I'm hearing is that it's going to be one free response question. So there's a lot of speculation right now about what that might be. And rather than sit tight for April 3rd, we'll go over what those questions might look like. In one of my other videos, I went over question 3. Today I'm going over question 1. My gut tells me they may opt to do 3 short response type questions. That could be a possibility. It's supposed to not cover anything. The exam's supposed to not cover anything that you shouldn't know through March, so no new material is going to be included. So pretty much everything that I taught up to March 12th, which was rather robust, if I do say so myself, would be included in this free response. So I sent a copy of this to many of you. This is question 1. This was the 2018 prompt. If you go to the Google machine and Google 2018 question 1 AP Lit, it'll take you right to this. All right, so the big thing that I want to talk about today is breaking down the prompt. That's where a lot of you, quite frankly, that's the rock upon which a lot of you continue to smash. That's a Dycusism, rock upon which you smash. So, the part that you guys really fall apart on is this: analyze how the poet portrays. Oh, it got cut off. Portrays. How the poet portrays. And so portrays characterizes, displays. These are all synonyms that basically all mean how does the author show us. That's really what it comes down to. And you've been told, well, gee, Mr. Dycus, you tell us not to use show. But that's really what they want to know. And then they give you such literary techniques as syntax, diction, and figurative language. The new questions eliminate that and just simply go with literary techniques. So remember that literary techniques are these things. Literary elements are plot, character, theme, setting, etc. Literary elements, remember, as I told you, are unavoidable. Literary techniques vary. All right, so this particular prompt, they want you to read this poem carefully. I love this poem, by the way. There aren't many poems that I do love, but I do love this poem. And if you're told to analyze syntax, diction, and figurative language equals metaphor, personification, oh, We're running out of room here. Etc. I had to open this up in Clip Studio because it wasn't letting me mark up the PDF that I downloaded. Why it does that, I don't know. But anyway, syntax, that's sentences. This is all stuff I've taught you. Diction is words. More specifically, word choice. Specific word choice. So if, for example, if we're looking at this first sentence, remember when it comes to poetry, the meaning is in the sentence. Not the line. The meaning is in the sentence, not the line. So if you get a poetry prompt, keep that in mind. All right, so we're talking diction and syntax. So if we look at this first sentence, plants are deceptive. That is a short sentence. So if you look throughout, you might notice that the poet mixes short and long sentences. Well, what does that mean? It affects tone. Plants are deceptive. That's pretty cut and dried. That's right to the chase. And you might right off straight away notice that the word deceptive is diction. That is a very specific word that the playwright has chosen, or poet has chosen to use. All right, so deceptive, positive, or when it comes to words, they're positive, they're negative, or they're neutral. And there's like 1,000 other words used to describe positive, negative, and neutral. In this case, what kind of connotation does deceptive have? It has a negative connotation. So that's an example of what you might look for. So we're going to read this poem, and we're going to apply TP-CASTT. We're going to apply TP-CASTT. So that's title, paraphrase, and remember, if you try to paraphrase by line, you'll go nuts. Paraphrase by stanza. Stanzas are these, or this is a stanza. If you try to go by line, you'll go crazy. You'll be there all day. So paraphrase by stanza. Connotations. And that equals diction. And then, let's see, attitude. Forgot what it was for a second. Attitude. Shifts. I don't have to tolerate that. I'm digital. Shifts. Title again. And then theme. Theme is, I just can't say it enough. Author's opinion about the subject. And the subject is always life. It's always about life. And then when it comes to life, we are born, we live, we die. And a little tombstone there. R.I.P. All right, is that a little too dark? Is that too dark? Might be a little dark. All right, but anyway, that's the protocol that we're going to work through. So this is called plants, and we're going to start with that in mind. Plants are deceptive. You see them there looking as if once rooted they know their places. Not like animals, like us, always running around leaving traces. Yet, from the way they breed, and twine from their exhibitionist and rather prolific nature, we must infer a sinister, not to say imperialistic grand design. Perhaps you've regarded as beneath your notice armies of mangrove on the march, roots in the air, clinging tendrils, anchoring themselves to everywhere. Oop, I got a word in there that I shouldn't have, but whatever. We're going to move on. The world is full of shoots bent on conquest, invasive seedlings seeking wide open spaces, material gathered for explosive dispersal in capsules and seed cases. Maybe you haven't quite taken in the colonizing ambitions of hitchhiking burrs on your sweater, surf-riding nuts bobbing on ocean, parachuting seeds, and other airborne traffic dropping in. And what about those special agents called flowers, dressed, perfumed, and made up for romancing? Insects, bats, birds, bees, even you. Don't deny it, my dear. I've seen you sniff and exclaim, believe me, innocent, that sweet fruit, that berry is nothing more than ovary, the instrument to seduce you into scattering plant progeny. Part of a vast cosmic program that once set in motion cannot be undone, though we become plant food and earth wind down. They'll outlast us. They were always there, one step ahead of us. Plants gone to seed, generating the originate, prolificate, extravagant, reckless, improvident weed. All right, so we look at the title. It's called Plants. Do we get anything from that? Usually we think of plants. We might think of plants as benign. You know, benign meaning plants. They're everywhere. They're plants. But the way we get deeper into it, it gives us a little bit of a clue into theme. And the idea here is that we don't notice plants. Perhaps they're beneath your notice, the poet says. We don't notice the plants. And that's kind of the point of the title when you look at it a second time. If we scroll down, make that bigger. We scroll down, we look at our TP-CASTT. We definitely get plants. So plants, huh? Plants. They're everywhere and we don't even notice it. So the paraphrase step I'm going to kind of skip over because I don't want this video to be 8,000 years long. You are capable of looking this poem up. You don't even have to look it up through College Board. If you Google plants, you'll probably come across it. Plants poem, you'll come across it. But there's tons of connotation throughout this, and let's just take a look at that. What that means. Tons of connotations. All right, so we've got deceptive, traces, breed, and then notice, excuse me, what could that possibly mean? Exhibitionist, imperialistic. Then we start to get into it. We've got words like imperialistic, armies, march, anchoring, conquest, explosive dispersal, colonizing ambitions. Huh? You with me on this? Traffic dropping in, special agents, right? So what do we associate with those words? Well, we associate war with those words. War. There's a lot of language of war. Why would the playwright want us to associate plants with taking over in war? Is that pleasant? It isn't. Also, you get a clue as to the audience. Who's the audience? Right here. That is what we call the invoked audience. How do I know? It's written in second person. So it's written in second person. And innocent. This is the audience. That's really important to point out, that this is in fact the audience. You know, I think I can give myself a little more real estate for this video. Up, 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 up. Now I got a little more real estate. Now you're not looking at my whole Clip Studio, everything. You're not looking at all that. But all I did is I went through and I keyed in on certain words that I associate. How did I know which words? Well, geez, I've been alive. That's how I know which words to circle and which words are diction and which words aren't. I mean, you've got shoots. I mean, you can tell what stands out. It's the language of war. So as far as tone goes, this is aggressive. It's a warning. Don't deny it, my dear. Believe me, innocent. You don't know what's going on with the plants, but I do. They're coming for you. All right, so right, and then notice this: we become plant food, and earth wind down. We feed our deaths feed the plants. You've heard the phrase. You may have heard it. Pushing up daisies. Because that's literally where we're going to end. We're going to end up pushing up daisies. We're going to end up as fertilizer. That's what's coming. And notice here that you've got rather sensual language. You've got words like ovary and breed, which we associate with, well, something that's not appropriate for a school video, quite frankly. And I'm just going to leave that to your imagination. But anyway, yeah. So lots of diction, if you're going to write about a feature in this poem, don't go looking for metaphors, although there is what's called a conceit in this poem. Conceit being an elaborate extended metaphor. And what's the elaborate extended metaphor here? It's plant as warrior. Plants are warriors. It's war. That's the extended metaphor. But you could write a really good analysis just looking at the diction. Just looking at this diction, just analyzing those two features, the diction and the conceit, the extended metaphor of war to communicate what the plants are going to basically do to us. And what are they going to do? They are going to outlast us. Weeds. We're going to be done in by weeds. So we're going to scroll down. Attitude. Oh my God. There's tons of attitude in this. It's aggressive. It's warning. It's warning us. Beware of the plants. Is there a shift? Well, yeah. You've got words like yet. Look for those shift words. Yet, from the way they breed, excuse me. You've got perhaps and maybe. But the biggest shift is here. Made up for romancing. Insects, bats, birds, bees, even you. They're gonna romance you. Now we've got a big shift here. Don't deny it, my dear. Now it's a direct address to the audience. We've invoked the audience. I've seen you sniff and exclaim, believe me, innocent, that sweet fruit and that berry is nothing more than ovary, the instrument to seduce you into scattering plant progeny. So, you've got a big shift from they're on the march, unseen, and now they're coming for you. So, that's definitely a shift, as is this. They'll outlast us. That's the wrapping up. That's what's going to happen. Lots of shifts. I'm going to say line 25. That's the big shift. And what's the author's opinion about plants? And how does it tie into our little schema here? Move my fat head out of the way. What aspect of life is he talking about? He's talking about we live, we die. And what's his opinion on this? What's going to go on after us? Plants. But is it really just about plants going on after us? This is about our mortality. And in looking at plants' immortality, it defines our mortality. That things will continue on after we're gone. Life will go on after we're gone. Things that we don't even notice will continue after we're gone. Now the playwright, I keep saying the playwright, the poet uses rather strong language to make that point, and that's the point. Life will continue. There will be life going on. This stuff will continue. How are my trees looking? Life will continue after we're gone. Maybe a happy little tree. This will just be our little secret. Happy trees. We won't tell anybody about it. But these things will continue long after we're gone. Life will continue after we're gone. And the poet gets this through to us through aggressive diction and a strong conceit, comparing the life of a plant to warfare. Because we associate those things, we have negative associations with these kinds of things, and it gets through to us. It scares us a little. It humbles us. So part of good literary analysis is knowing the words to use to describe what you're reading. And words that help me, words that help, associations. What do we associate with certain words and images? And what I associate might be different than what you associate. And as long as you can support what you associate, that's the main point. That's how one creates a literary argument. So associations. Diction is very helpful. Addiction is a helpful word. And remember, it's either positive, negative, or neutral. It's either positive, negative, or neutral. And there's about 1 billion words you can use to describe positive diction. Whimsical, happy, carefree. There's a bunch of words you can use to describe negative, aggressive, threatening, warning, chiding. Those all basically fall into the house called negative diction. Neutral, scholarly, ornate, illustrative. You get the idea. And you can actually get on the Google machine, and it's not a bad idea to get on the Google machine, and you should try to know 5 words for positive diction, and negative diction. And then my personal favorite, diction that's ambiguous. Ambiguous. Did I misspell that? Justin Lewis is going to let me know I misspelled it. I probably did. So diction that kind of falls in the middle. You should know words that describe it. And a great word is ambiguous. The diction is ambiguous. It brings up both positive and negative emotions, touching the reader in both ways. Well, anyway, I hope you saw that how I marked up this and how I use TP-CASTT as a filter and as an organizing principle, and basically how I got here. I'm hoping that you saw that. I will be making more of these videos as we get closer to April 3rd and we find out exactly what we're dealing with. You're also going to have access to a lot of practice material via College Board. So I would absolutely check out College Board for more information. All right, well, I really enjoyed walking through this poem with you guys. I enjoy this poem a lot, and because of what it says. I like dark things, and this is a dark poem. It's not too often that you'll hear me be excited to discuss a poem, but I like this poem. It's just a lot of fun. Lots of fun to discuss. Perhaps we'll set up a Zoom conference, and we can discuss this poem together, and I can share the screen, and we might have a discussion about it. But we might do that. I don't know. This online teaching thing is weird to me. All right, well, that's pretty much all I have today. I hope this video finds everybody happy and well, and I miss you guys. I miss you guys every day. I do think about you quite a lot. Do I get an email? Don't get out of there. And I hope to see you all sooner rather than later. As I always like to say, as I've been signing off, cheers, cheers.